Welcome to the Cabral Concept, where board-certified naturopath and integrative health practitioner Dr. Stephen Cabral shares how he was diagnosed at the age of 17 with a life-altering illness and given no hope for recovery. It was only after studying and traveling all over the world did he discover how to combine ancient Ayurvedic healing practices with state-of-the-art naturopathic and functional medicine to fully rebalance the body and re-energize it with life. It's time to discover how to get well, lose weight, and finally feel alive again. And now, here's your host, Dr. Stephen Cabral.
Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the Cabral Concept. Great to be with you here today and looking forward to getting into our Total Wellness Tuesday show, where I've decided now for over the next 4 to 6 weeks, every Tuesday and Wednesday, so either day of the week, for the next 4 to 6 weeks, I'm going to be going over all of our macronutrients, and I'm going to go over some of our essential vitamins and nutrients that I want to talk about. What are the signs that you might be deficient in them? You know, I love functional medicine lab testing. There's no doubt about that because it can give you exactly how deficient you are, what vitamins you need, what minerals you need, at what dosages, etc. Okay, so I've talked about that before. I'm sure you've heard me speak about them, but what I want to do is go over the actual physical and mental symptoms that if you weren't able to lab test, let's take a look at that. Let's actually go on a day-to-day basis. Maybe not every day, but how many days a week are you experiencing these symptoms, and could they be correlated to all the different effects that we're talking about? So could it be a too low a carb diet, too low protein, or maybe too high, too low in electrolytes? So I'm really looking forward to this. I want to go over them each and every week. I'm just going to take one per week for probably the next, I would say, 6 weeks, because there's a bunch that I want to go through. And today what I want to talk about, and I want the topic to be focused on just one per week, and this week, we're going to be speaking about hydration. Hydration has a lot more to do than just how many glasses of water you're drinking per day. Sure, that matters, but everyone's requirement is a little bit different. It's the same with protein. It's the same with carbohydrates. It's the same with fats. It's the same actually with electrolytes. Some people go through them at a faster rate, and we could talk about that, and we will each and every week. So why I want to focus on hydration first, it's actually more important than all the other foods that you're eating. And the reason is that I love the base of the rule of threes. You can survive 3 weeks without food, 3 days without water, and only 3 hours without shelter in some type of inclement weather. So I don't know about the 3 hours. I think that's debatable about what type of weather it is. But of course, it makes a lot of sense if you're out in the cold or you're out in torrential rains or whatever it might be. But we know for sure that most people, they have a supply, their bodies can live for about 3 days without water. But that's absolute survival. What about optimal health? That's really what we're talking about, right? We're talking about as we go through our days, well, what if we're not feeling optimal? So for example, what are some of the symptoms that we feel that we might not even know it could be from simply being dehydrated? Why did this all come about? Here's why. I do a lot of organic acids testing. And the very last marker, we don't even count it as much as a marker. There's 75 biomarkers on an organic acids test. Number 76 is essentially looking at how hydrated you were when you took that test first thing in the morning. So creatinine, we're looking at that. And we're using it simply from a clinical perspective, saying how diluted was this sample? That's really what we're looking at. And I don't want to see that below a 50, but I see some people come in 200, 250, 300 plus, and I can see how concentrated that urine was. Now, most likely, that's not going to change a lot or tremendously throughout the day. This person's most likely chronically dehydrated. So that's an easy recommendation we can make for that person, just saying, here's where you're at. Now, maybe it's just because you went the whole night, obviously, not you're consuming water, but most people do that. So why is this person so chronically dehydrated? Well, they don't most likely take in as much fluid, or they're not holding the fluid in the cells. They're not using it as well as they should be. So I think that a lot of us here, well, we're dehydrated. Well, sure, if you're thirsty, then you have to drink some water. I get that. That's a basic sign. We're not going to go over that today. Another one is this. And I do hope that you've tuned back into previous Cabral concepts. But previously I talked about if your urine is too dark, well, very likely you are dehydrated. You have not had enough water. Urination is one of the easiest ways to tell if you're hydrated enough. You should be urinating every couple of hours. If you only urinate 3 times a day, 4 times a day maximum, you're not taking in enough fluid. Why does that matter? Here's why. Your blood is 90% water, especially the plasma is really what we're talking about. But look at it this way. If you're not urinating, your body's not removing waste. The best way that your body has to remove waste is urine. Now, the most efficient way is through the bile that goes into your intestines and out through the stool. So I'm not going to say that's not the most efficient way. It is, of course. That's where your liver is dumping the majority of the toxins. However, you urinate a lot more. Your kidneys are still able to turn over a lot of waste and get it out of your body. That can include metals and pharmaceuticals and whatever else you're putting into your body, right? And sometimes unknowingly. So if you read The Rain Barrel Effect, you can see how many pharmaceuticals are actually just in your tap water, how there can be aluminum and mercury in your tap water, how there can be lead in your tap water. And of course, we've seen that lately in the news, right? So these are things that we need to pay attention of, and it's my opinion, and I'll give you at the end what the best type of water is, but these are things that I talk about every single week on the podcast. I just want you to go back to stephencabral.com/podcast and check out those previous shows. There's even a search bar where you could type in water and you'll see all my previous shows that I've spoken on, the different topics of water, how much water you should drink, when to drink the water, the best time of the day, like all of those different topics are right there. So without further ado, let's get into 7, I'm calling them surprising signs. The signs that most people might not correlate with dehydration because it's not just feeling thirsty. And the first one is this, it's fatigue. Okay. A lot of people out there right now are tired simply because their bodies are chronically dehydrated. When they wake up in the morning, they don't drink any water. When they wake up in the morning, they have coffee. Coffee, after a while, your body does actually get used to it, but it's still not hydrating to the same level. It's not. But it's just not as dehydrating if you've drank coffee for a while because it doesn't have the same type of diuretic effects over time if it's a habit of yours. But here's the thing. It's not hydrating like a glass of water. So I want you to look at it this way. A lot of people wake up in the morning, they go about their day, they get ready, they have their cup of coffee. Think about it. When do you have water? I mean, really think about that. It might not be till mid-morning, might not be till lunch, or what if you don't have it until later in the day? So that is why a lot of people, they wake up tired, but really what their body is telling them is they're fatigued from being dehydrated. Your body can't tell you, I'm always thirsty, but it can give you some of the signs. So the first thing, it's so important that you wake up and hydrate. Think of it this way. Let's just say you go to bed at 10 p.m. Okay. Most people are going to stop their water consumption somewhere around 7, 8 o'clock at night. They're going to take maybe their vitamins with their dinner, whatever, they're going to have some water. Okay. Maybe they have a little chamomile tea after dinner, and then that's it. So now, let's say that you wake up around 6:37, okay, and you start your breakfast, you have your breakfast around 7:30 or so. You've gone 12 hours without a glass of water, 7:30 at night to 7:30 in the morning. Think about that, a half a day. You've gone half your day. Now, I know that you're sleeping for 8 hours of that, but your body needs water while you're sleeping as much as any other time of the day. A lot of people don't know this. Your body's literally losing somewhere around a half a liter to potentially a liter of water at night in bed. And I know it sounds kind of gross, but our bodies perspire. Here's why. Besides that, the detox-based function of your body requires a lot of water. And so that's just something that we just have to make sure that when we wake up in the morning, if you're one of those people that likes to drink your water, room temperature water, with a squeeze of lemon or lime, a pinch of sea salt, you're way ahead of the game. You get a gold star. There's no doubt about that. You want to add a scoop of daily fruit and vegetable blend, double gold star. Okay. So that's fantastic. That's what I do. I learned that many years ago from, well, it was basically, that's kind of that folk wisdom, right? It's like, that's what we did. Nobody really knows why. Well, now we have the science behind it. We know that there's a lot of electrolytes in lemons, specifically potassium. We know that from the same way we do a hair tissue mineral analysis as a functional medicine lab test. We burn the food, just like we burn the hair, we turn it to an ash, and then we actually find out all the minerals in the ash. That's how you figure out the food. Well, then you add a pinch of sea salt to it, and when you get a little salt with a little potassium, you help out that heart of yours, and they help out every cell in your body. The cells in your body work on a sodium-potassium pump. It essentially creates osmosis, cellular osmosis. It pumps things into the cell, which is nutrients, and it pumps waste out. It's a beautiful dance that your body does with all the 40 trillion cells of your body. So you need that. You need the electrolytes. I'm going to be talking about electrolytes in a moment. But that's what you want to do when you first wake up. Now, if you're not used to doing this, your body won't be ready to have water. It's not ready. It's like literally your digestion is not ready for it. But you start out slow, make your cup of water, Put in just water. If you don't want anything else, just have a glass of water. If you don't have lemons, you don't have limes, don't let that hold you back. You don't want to put a pinch of sea salt, don't. Just drink a glass of water. That's totally fine. Put in a scoop of daily fruit and vegetable blend if you want extra credit for all of those greens, reds, and superfoods. But that's up to you. Honestly, up to you. I'm just talking about have a glass of water. Okay, so now at least you're starting your day hydrated, and that's going to take care of a lot of the fatigue you're feeling so that you might not even feel like you need as much coffee. Another thing is this. I always say smoothie for breakfast. Why? Because maybe you don't like plain water. Or, for again, extra credit, you do that, and then an hour later, you do your smoothie. So you do your daily fruit and vegetable blend or your lemon water, however you want to do it. You can even have a cup of ginger tea when you wake up. Again, whatever you like. And then an hour later, do a smoothie. Why? 80 to 90+% of fruit and vegetables, most vegetables as well, is water. So you can put your fruit in there. You can be low glycemic berries. You don't have to do a ton if you don't want. You can put in whatever you want to mix in there. And you know my routine. If you haven't downloaded the smoothie guide, you have to check that out. And you can just go to any podcast page. So, for example, today is podcast 1138. So simply go to stephencabral.com/1138. And just scroll down the page. You'll see a little graphic that says smoothie recipe guide. Those are the smoothies I literally use in my own life. I've been using them for years, and I've been giving them people for over 15 years, literally these smoothies. And they never go out of style. It's for wellness and it's for weight loss, whatever one you decide that you want to do, it gives you the different recipes. Okay. So that's what we're talking about. And again, a smoothie is ultra hydrated, especially if you do what I do, 2 to 2.5 cups of water. You can put a little bit of nut milk in there if you want, coconut milk, almond milk, hemp, whatever. Anything that you like to give it a little bit of texture. Add in your fruit, add in your daily nutritional support shake, add in whatever you want, all your superfoods. Blend it up, make it delicious, and you super hydrate your body. I'm telling you right now, you do that for 3 weeks. You can add coffee after that if you want, but you won't need it. You won't, because your body's going to have enough energy from all of the water, all of the antioxidants, all of the fruit. Like your body will get supercharged with that. And no, it's not going to spike your blood sugar. You're going to get your protein, your fat, you're going to get your good carbohydrates as well. If it spikes your blood sugar, you need to look at why it spikes your blood sugar so much. That's a different story. Okay. Number 2 is this. The second surprising sign of dehydration is brain fog. Many people do not correlate brain fog with dehydration, but think of it this way. Think of brain fog as fatigue for the brain. So if your body becomes dehydrated, well, certainly your brain can as well. One of the scary things about dehydration in the brain is that you're more prone to concussions or TBIs, traumatic brain injuries. Now, again, that's usually from an accident. Of course, I understand that. But I work a lot with athletes, and I've worked with many mixed martial artists in the past. One thing that we worry about with them is when they're doing their weight cut, this goes for wrestlers, this goes for mixed martial artists, that they're oftentimes, I know this is going to sound crazy, but they're oftentimes losing between 15 and 20 pounds within 24 hours through a dehydration-based protocol. Now, I'm not taking them through this. I'm not recommending this. I try to just keep them as healthy as possible. So there's a lot of people in the news. They can't figure out what's wrong with them. They're losing massive amounts of electrolytes. So just for example, and I follow all this because I've been in martial arts for over 20 years, Max Holloway, they couldn't figure out what was going on with him for many, many months. The problem was his electrolytes were thrown off because he does weight cuts of 35 or more pounds in order to make weight. I know it sounds crazy, but again, he fights at 145 pounds, but he routinely weighs more than 175 pounds when he goes in for a weight cut, and he's losing 30 pounds. And it's mainly, of course, water weight, which is scary, right? Scary. I know our body's about 2/3 water, and you have a lot to lose, but that's still very, very scary to lose that much weight. So again, for us normal humans that don't do those types of cuts, and I don't mean that they're abnormal, but we would never do that to our own bodies. That's not our sport. For us, we need to be careful of brain fog. That means that if we do feel a little foggy mid-afternoon or even upon waking, we need to reach for that water first. Not the coffee, but the water first. Okay. Next up is dizziness. Okay. A lot of people equate dizziness with either some type of vertigo from inner ear issues, etc. It can be simply from dehydration. It really can. Get your water in, but if you're dizzy, don't just drink straight water. I want you to put in some lime or some lemon, and I want you to put in a pinch of sea salt for those electrolytes. Huge fan of that. People ask me all the time, what about this water filter that puts in this mineral and this mineral? And I just tell them, I'm going to give this to you at the end anyways. There's nothing better than you taking your water, squeeze the lime in. Ayurveda is even bigger on lime than it is on lemon. And then you put in that dash of sea salt. People always ask me too, how much sea salt should I add? The answer to that is always to taste. Your body will tell you. If it craves salt, you need more salt, okay? You honestly do. If you can put a decent amount of salt in your water and it does not taste too salty to you, your body needs that salt. Why would it? I don't want to make this all about electrolytes today because I'm going to do that as a separate show on electrolytes, but think of it this way. Your body can't uptake all the hydration to your cells without what I just spoke about, the sodium and the potassium. You need that. Well, why was Gatorade so famous? Well, because it worked. Gatorade works. Now, is it healthy for you with all of those dyes in it? No, absolutely not. But it works. Why? It's a high sodium beverage that replaces your sodium lost through sweats or just normal perspiration. You don't need to be sweating on the football field, which is what it was first developed for, in order to benefit from some electrolyte water. And an easy way to get it is simply a pinch of Himalayan sea salt or Celtic salt or Redmond's real salt or rock salt like they use in Ayurveda and some lime. Easy, stir it up, create a little vortex, stir it in, you're good to go. All right, so we get fatigue, brain fog, dizziness. Next up is muscle weakness. If you start to feel yourself like your grip getting a little bit weaker or your muscles not really contracting as well, you just feel weaker when you're walking overall, reach for the water. Your muscles are 70+% water. The hydration, which helps to bring in a lot of the other nutrients, amino acids, etc., for repair, needs water to come along with it. You can't be taking in a lot of protein and not a lot of water. It will really tax the kidneys as well. So you need to increase that water. The more protein you eat, the more water you need to drink. That's just the way that it is. You can lab test this, easy to see on people's blood work. I should say their BUN levels are getting high, BUN levels on a blood work. Sometimes their creatinine levels to BUN levels will be off. Their albumin levels can be off. Their globulin levels can be off. So these are important things to look at that a lot of times your PCP may not be as paying much attention to because oftentimes they're not out of range, but they're really close. It's like a 23 and the range goes up to 24, so it's really something that you should be watching out for and really, really important to look at. Okay, but we're going over the signs without the labs today. Number 5 is this, along the same lines as muscle weakness, muscle cramping. Different process, different reason. This now comes back to electrolytes. But again, so the electrolytes matter for cramping. People are like, just have a banana. True. Like, yeah, what's a banana having? A potassium. Okay, that makes sense. But the banana is also loaded with water as well. Now, it's not a 90+% water fruit, but it's still a lot of water. Think about what a dehydrated banana looks like. It shrivels up to nothing. So that means, though, all of that was basically water. So the banana provides water plus potassium, but there's potassium other things as well. Lemons, limes, veggies. So you can get potassium in a lot of different places, but don't overlook the electrolytes, but you also need the water. Muscle cramps could be a lack of water in those muscle cells and tissues as well. Another big one is this, though, blood pressure medications. Blood pressure meds, okay, because oftentimes they're giving you diuretics. Not the best idea, but what's it doing? Well, it's depleting you sometimes of sodium. So conventional medicine's funny like that. It's like, well, we know that if you have too much sodium in the blood, that it can cause some agglutination and aggregation of red blood cells and stickiness, and it can cause some sluggishness in the blood. Well, why don't we just get rid of it then? That's not how the human body's supposed to work. When you understand the chemistry of the body, and that's why, so most doctors are absolutely brilliant and they get good schooling, but then all of a sudden it's like they throw all that out the window and they just match up a disease with a pill. And I just wonder, I'm like, what about all that great schooling that you did for the first 2 years that you learned about toxicology, anatomy, physiology, you learn about all of your ologies, I always say. And then all of a sudden, we're going to dumb it down for all of these brilliant people and just say, person X comes in with Y lab result, you give them Z medication. That's what it's become. I think our doctors are way better than this. And I do. But part of the issue is that our American medical system and this goes for most countries, by the way, UK, Australia, etc., you only get 15 minutes. And a few minutes is for you to talk with your doctor. The rest of the time, they're taking care of their electronic medical records, and then they're prescribing your medication. You're out. You get 15, that's it. So they can't take you through all this. That's the unfortunate thing. And that's why it's truly sick care. It's not a healthcare system at all. And that's why I believe everyone should have an MD, but I want everyone to have a health coach as well. It can be a naturopathic doctor. It can be a functional medicine doctor. It can be an integrative health practitioner. It can be a health coach. It can be a personal trainer that's brilliant at nutrition. Fine. But you need both. You absolutely need both. A lot of chiropractors are great at the integrative approach. So you need both. I'm telling you right now, you really it'll do yourself a world of good, and same with your family. Okay. So since we're talking about blood pressure medication and diuretics, a lack of water can actually show up as disease in the body, besides all the kidney issues, as high blood pressure, because of the reasons I spoke about. If there's not enough water, you can actually change the viscosity of the blood. Well, what does that mean? Well, again, I went deep down the rabbit hole in terms of natural health. So when I teach the integrative health practitioner course and certification, I tell people that, listen, I love every form of medicine, but there are drawbacks to them. And so what I did was, yes, I studied Ayurvedic medicine, traditional Chinese medicine, traditional naturopathy, naturopathic medicine, functional medicine, which are pretty much one and the same. I studied Eastern-based philosophy, so the mindset, but I also studied bioregulatory medicine. And part of that, I used an electron microscope. Now, I don't use it when people come in my office anymore, but I did many years of it. And I still use it today in my practice, but I use it for personal research. And what you can see is you can actually look at someone's red blood cells, white blood cells, et cetera, under a microscope. It's pretty amazing. And this is the person's real blood. So we're not fooling around here. That's not smoke and mirrors. You take the blood, take one drop, you put it on a glass slide, you put a slide cover over it, you put it under a very powerful and expensive electron microscope, and you're looking at their blood. And one of the things, I'm not going to go through all the different things today, but one of the things that you're looking at is, are the red blood cells sticky, right? That's just our fun term for it, but we can call it red blood cell rouleau, which is a technical term, or red blood cell aggregation, where it clumps together. Well, the clumping together does not allow for good movement or viscosity in the blood. If that happens and the blood begins to pool, you can get high blood pressure, okay? It's so easy. You can literally give someone a glass of water, tall glass of water, 8 ounces, 10 ounces, 12 hours. Take their blood, look at their blood again just 30 minutes later, 40 minutes later, and you will see it start to move at a faster rate. Now, not everyone, because there's other reasons why you can have red blood cell rouleau. But that is such a big thing. If someone has a high blood pressure in my practice, we're using specific minerals. I don't want to go into that today, but I did do a whole podcast on high blood pressure. So please do check out that show if you're interested in that, on what high blood pressure really is. And so if we look at that, I superhydrate them right away, like right out of the gates. I can just tell you part of what we're doing for almost every single person with high blood pressure is we're using full spectrum magnesium at each meal. We're doing the deep sleep protocol at night. Lots of just tons of hydration during the day, smoothie and breakfast. So, and then in my practice, we never do more than we have to. So people are always kind of taken a little bit aback by that, because you're like, wait, we're just going to do this? Yes, that's what we're going to do. And then we're going to check it in 4 weeks. If we're good, I don't need to do more. So always try to do more with less. You always try to heal with food. By the time people ever get to me or they do any lab tests, it's too late. We need to use nutritional supplements. We use the whole de-stress protocol, which is only one of 8 parts. And then we start to then gradually wean off of those. But again, if your body's super imbalanced, your digestive system's off, that you got to go back and check out previous podcasts on that. I can't go through it today. All right. So the last one I want to give you right now, though, is headaches. Headaches is another sign of dehydration. So if you're starting to feel that dull pain in the head, the sides of the head, water first, okay? Get a nice tall glass of water and let yourself just kind of relax for 20 minutes, 30 minutes. Now, a lot of people, they reach for caffeine when they have a headache, because this can work as a vasoconstrictor for some types of migraines and what's called hypnic headaches. So here's the interesting thing though. It can give a relief for that. Like it can actually constrict blood flow to the head, and that can actually help for some people. Now, better though to figure out why you don't want to keep using caffeine, because it's a drug. It's a very powerful drug and it works really well. Or it's a supplement. That's a better way to look at it. Meaning like there's a lot of people, and I spoke about this before, who don't like to take supplements, yet they drink matcha tea every day. That's a supplement. Green tea is a supplement. Or they're doing, straight veggie juice every day, which again, all those things are great. But here's the issue. You would never eat 2 full batches or bunches of celery. I can't think of the name right now. You wouldn't do that. So you're using a supplement, a larger amount, you're supplementing your diet with that. Again, nothing against you. I believe in it. Like I'm good with all your carrot juice, all of those things. But I just don't want to deny it. We're using supplements every day of our life. Like that's the truth. Anything you're doing a concentration of, you're doing as a supplement. It's not a food. You're concentrating it and you're doing it for a specific reason. And again, that's a good thing. I'm not saying it's a bad thing at all, but we want to look at that. So if you're someone that gets headaches, migraines, etc., look to the reason why. Is it a histamine issue? Is it a mineral imbalance? Whatever it might be. And again, you can lab test, but why not just try what we're talking about today? Hydrate. So how much water do you need? Because I want to wrap up today's show is this. I believe that every single person waking up in the morning, if you're low blood pressure, you need more sea salt in that water in the morning, and you can do a little less of the potassium, which would be the lemon or the lime. You can add your daily fruit and vegetable blend to that if you'd like. Totally up to you. An hour later, do a smoothie, okay? You can do it high carb. You can do it low carb. You can do whatever carb you want, right? But do a smoothie in the morning. Give yourself the benefit of a rainbow of food for breakfast. And you'll also really hydrate your body. You will get, if you do a glass of water upon waking, an hour later, so do a smoothie. Maybe it's 90 minutes later. Maybe it's 2 hours later because you're doing a little longer fast. No problem. Okay, here's the deal though. You're going to get 3 glasses of water so in your smoothie. Now you're already at 4 glasses. And remember, most people need what? About 8 glasses of water per day. That's the minimum. How much water should you take in? I did a podcast on this as well. Well, about half your body weight in ounces of water per day. So let's say that you weigh 160 pounds. You need 80 ounces of water a day. How many glasses of water of that? If there's 8 ounces per glass, you need 10 glasses of water per day. The smoothie does count, okay? Fruit does count. It's real water in that fruit. It sucks it up from the earth. It's real water. So you can count all of that, but I just say go with, if you need 10 glasses, go with a good 6 to 8 glasses of real water, and then you can have that your smoothies and all of those other things as well. Chamomile tea, ginger tea, it counts as water. But do try to get plain water in there as well. You can always add the lemon, the lime, the pinch of sea salt if you'd like. You don't need to do the sea salt. You might just like it with lemon and lime. That's great. So here's the last part. This is what I want to share with you. Everyone always asks, what's the best source of water? What is the best source of water? There will never be a better source of water than what comes from the aquifer, the underground pools of water or spring water. So natural earth-based water. Well, what do you get? And why is it the best? Well, it's already mixed with natural minerals. So you get the minerals because the water's running over the stream and it's picking it up from the rocks. And then also in the earth, it's picking up silica and other minerals that our body could use. So that is alive water, truly alive water, mineral-based water. Spring water is best. If you can't do that, take your tap water and run it through a Berkey filter or your favorite filter out there. And again, all you have to do is go to stephencabral.com/podcasts, simply type in water filter, and you'll see all the great types of water filters I've recommended in the past. I've used a bunch. I used the Therasage pitcher, and I also use the Berkey filter. Those are the two that I use. I have a water filter in my shower. I mean, that's like all sorts of different things. And you can also check that out. They're all in the Rain Barrel Effect book as well. So hopefully today's podcast was helpful. Those are 7 surprising signs of dehydration. The bottom line is if you take anything, get your body hydrated. Start earlier in the day especially. Don't backload your day with all the water. Front load your day with that water. And then each and every week, like I said, I'm going to bring you the signs and symptoms of a low protein diet. What does that look like? What about a low carb? What about low iron? What about low essential fatty acids, the fats? What does that mean? So we're going to check all these out. Really looking forward to these shows. I love when these ideas just kind of come about from something I'm reading or something I see, or like today, a lab test that I saw. So I really appreciate your support. Really appreciate you tuning in. And as always, if this show is helpful, please do feel free to pass along to anyone else you believe it could serve. Ever wonder what the best sauna, blue blockers, sleep trackers, wake lights, salt lamps, or other health gadgets are? Or what about the top non-toxic mattresses, sheets, soaps, bath products, toothpaste, and cookware? Or would you like to know the cleanest choices for hemp parts, meal delivery services, supplements, and much more? I personally curated, researched, and now created a resource page of all of my top picks that continues to grow each week. These are the exact products I use in my own life, with my family, in my private practice, and they're the ones I trust. To find out all of my up-to-date recommendations and all the details, simply head on over to stephencabral.com/resources.